So this is going to be the last normal book because then it's going to be October, and for the month of October I have decided to read some horror stories. So you might have to skip the entire month of October, or you're gonna love the month of October like I am, and we're just gonna read a bunch of scary stories. But before that happens, we are going to read Treasure Planet. I've never read this story before, so here we go. Jim Hawkins loved riding on his Solar Surfer. He also loved pirate stories, especially tales of Captain Flint. Flint had looted spaceships throughout the galaxy. He hid his treasure on Treasure Planet. Jim's mother said Treasure Planet was just a made-up story, but Jim knew the story was true. He vowed that one day he would find Treasure Planet for himself. Jim's mother owned the Ben Bow Inn. One day, an alien named Billy Bones crashed his spaceship outside the inn. He told Jim that pirates were chasing him. Billy Bones then gave Jim a small, odd-looking metal sphere. "Beware of the cyborg," he whispered with his last breath. "Cyborg?" said Jim. He knew that a cyborg was a creature that is part human and part machine. As he tried to figure out what Billy Bones had meant, pirates attacked the inn. Jim, his mother, and their best friend Dr. Doppler managed to escape, but the pirates burned the Ben Bow Inn to the ground. Jim and his mother stayed at Doppler's house. Jim twirled the strange metal sphere in his hands. He unlocked the sphere and twisted it apart. Patterned lights beamed from inside the sphere and illuminated the room. Jim studied the light beams. "It's a map," he said. Doppler pointed out their home planet on the map, but Jim found something even more interesting: Treasure Planet. "I can use this to find Treasure Planet," said Jim. "No," said his mother, "it's too dangerous." "But if I find the treasure, we can rebuild the Ben Bow Inn," said Jim. "He's right," said Doppler, "and I'll go with him." Doppler hired a spaceship called the RLS Legacy to take them on their journey. Amelia, the ship's captain, locked the map securely in a chest in her stateroom. "Don't speak of the treasure in front of the ship's crew," she told Jim and Doppler. "I don't trust them." Captain Amelia told Jim that he would be working for the ship's cook during the journey. She sent Jim to the galley to meet the cook, John Silver. "Pleased to meet you, Jimbo," said Silver. When the cook reached out to shake Jim's hand, Jim saw that his metal arm was filled with gears and gadgets. One of his eyes wasn't an eye at all. It was a laser. Jim remembered what Billy Bones had told him: beware of the cyborg. And John Silver was a cyborg. The RLS Legacy set sail for Treasure Planet. "Full speed," Captain Amelia ordered. "Brace yourselves." The ship shot through space, but Jim didn't have time to watch the sights go by. Silver kept him busy with many chores. Jim was scrubbing the deck and peeling potatoes. The crew on board the Legacy didn't seem to like Jim very much. They would gang up on him and try to scare him, but Silver protected him. He knew Jim grew up without a father. Silver showed Jim how to tie knots and how to live on board a ship. He let Jim pilot the ship's longboat. Even though Silver was a cyborg, Jim began to trust him. But one day, Jim overheard Silver talking to the crew in the galley. They were planning a mutiny. "We want to take over the ship now," said one crew member. "No," said Silver. He was getting increasingly angry at the crew. "I'm giving the orders, and I say we don't move until we have the treasure map." "Are you fit to give orders?" asked another crew member, fearing that Silver was going to abandon the plan. "What about that kid, Jim Hawkins? We think you've got a soft spot for him." "I care about one thing," said Silver angrily: "Flint's treasure. I cozied up to that kid to keep him off our scent, but I ain't gone soft." "Land ho!" the ship's lookout cried with excitement from the crow's nest. "Treasure Planet ahead." The crew rushed on deck. Jim scurried from the galley, but Silver saw him. He knew Jim had been listening. "Attack!" Silver called to the crew. The crew overran the ship while Silver raised the pirate flag. Jim, Doppler, and Captain Amelia scrambled into the captain's stateroom and bolted the door. Captain Amelia locked the chest and tossed the map over to Jim. "Defend this with your life," she said. "To the longboats, quickly!" The captain, Jim, and Doppler raced through the bowels of the ship, fighting off pirates. They reached one of the longboats, climbed aboard, and sailed off. But the pirates were right behind. They blasted the longboat with a laser ball. Captain Amelia tried to keep the boat sailing, but the shattered vessel crashed onto Treasure Planet. Luckily, no one was badly hurt, although Amelia's leg was slightly injured. Jim, Doppler, and Amelia dusted themselves off. Jim reached for the map, but it was gone. "I must have left it on the ship," he cried. Captain Amelia sent Jim to scout out a better hiding place. He hadn't gone far when a metal figure leaped out. It was a robot. The robot hugged Jim. "A carbon-based life form, come to rescue me at last? I've been stranded here for 100 years. My name is BEN. That's short for Electronic Navigator." "It's Jim," said Jim. "I'm Jim," said Jim. "I'm trying to find a place to hide from pirates." "I know about pirates," said Ben. "I remember Captain Flint. He was so mean." "You knew Captain Flint?" interrupted Jim. "Then you must know where the treasure is." "Treasure?" Ben thumped his metal head. "Oh yes, I remember the treasure. I helped Captain Flint hide it, but I don't remember where." Ben took Jim, Doppler, and Captain Amelia to the cave where he lived. They'd barely settled in before the pirates found them. The pirates surrounded the cave and waited for Jim and the others to come out. But Ben showed Jim a secret passage in the back of the cave. When night fell, Jim and Ben sneaked out the back passage. They borrowed a pirate's longboat and slipped aboard the Legacy. Jim found the map. He and Ben returned to the planet and slipped back into the cave. "I've got it," said Jim. Silver stepped from the shadows. "Fine work, Jimbo." Jim realized they were in trouble. He was grabbed by the pirates. The pirates had tied up Doppler and Amelia. They forced Jim to use his knowledge of the map to take them to the treasure. Jim opened the portal to the planet's core. The core was filled with gold coins and jewels, with Captain Flint's ship perched in the center. Silver dropped to his knees. "I found it at last," he exclaimed. The planet began to quake. "I remember now," said Ben. "Flint rigged the entire planet to blow up if anybody found his treasure." Suddenly the ground split beneath their feet. Jim and Ben leaped aboard Captain Flint's ship. Jim fixed the wiring and fired up the ship. "Not so fast," Silver leaped aboard. "This ship's filled with treasure and I'm taking it." Just then an explosion rocked the ship. Jim plunged overboard. He began sliding into a huge crater. Silver had to choose between saving Jim and saving the treasure. He pulled Jim to safety. Captain Amelia had already fired up the Legacy. Jim, Ben, and Silver scrambled aboard. "We have exactly 2 minutes and 34 seconds until the planet's complete destruction," said Ben. "Turn back," Jim said. "I can save us." Doppler steered the ship back. Jim used a makeshift solar surfer and some fancy moves to reach the portal map. He touched the map, opening a portal door right in front of them. Doppler steered the ship through. Once safe, Silver knew he must leave the ship or face jail. He tossed Jim a handful of gold coins from his pocket. "For your dear mother," he said, "to rebuild that inn of hers." He leaped onto a longboat and waved as he sailed away. Jim's mother did rebuild the Ben Bow Inn, and Ben became her cook. Doppler and Captain Amelia were to be wed, and Jim became the captain of his own ship. Everyone lived happily ever after. That's a good ending.